What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Home Cook Convos. I'm your girl, Janelle J. Anse. It is Monday, November the 8th. Let me just pin something, y'all, real quick. Give me 1 second. Hey, y'all let me know if y'all can hear me and see me, okay? Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me and see me. Hey, Eric, I'm going to bring you in just a minute. Give me 1 second. Let me know if the sound is clear on y'all side, okay? Y'all let me know if the sound is clear on y'all side, okay? Sounds good. Hey, Jessica. Y'all just give me old thumbs up. Let me know if I'm clear, honey. Hey. I'm gonna go and let Eric in here. Give me 1 second. Eric, I see you, boo. I'm about to let you in here, okay? Let me go on and get the show on and going. All right. Let me let Eric. Hey, Eric.
Hey, what's going on, Jay?
How you doing? Let me ask it. Let me make sure. Can you hear me and see me clearly?
Yes, I can. Am I good?
Yes. Is the sound okay on your side?
Yes, sounds great. Perfect.
Because Instagram be acting crazy. You know how they do, Eric. That's why I was kept on reminding you. I was like, Eric, let me let you know right now. Update your app, because if it's not updated, it would not let you in the live.
Yeah, no doubt.
Instagram acts crazy. So how you doing on this Monday?
I am doing great. I've been at it all day, but feeling good. How you doing? It's been a long time.
I know it's been a minute. So I've been doing my thing up here in New York. It's been a minute since I seen you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and I love you. You have the lovely wife and you have the kids. You got 2 daughters, right?
Yes, indeed. 11 and youngest will be 9 here in
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, time flies.
Time do fly. Oh my goodness. So you only got 2. You got 2 or 3 kids?
Don't give me another one. Just 2.
Just 2.
2 and 3.
Yes, and you tell your wife I said hello too. You tell her I said hi.
Absolutely.
How is she doing? Yes. So let me get a few little reminder. First of all, Eric, let me tell you, I appreciate you coming on my show tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your Monday to come speak with me, because, is this a lot that, we need to cover, because dealing with this world that we're living in today is just, it's so much that goes on. And I know you're involved with your financial planner and you deal with insurance and stuff like that. And Jessica Love is in the chat. You remember Jessica Love?
What's up, Jess? Yeah.
Yeah, from Jackson. Yes. So let me get a few little reminders out of the way. Guys, if you live in the tri-state area and if you're looking for health insurance, I want you to hit up my girl Janet McFarland. It's low cost health insurance, and she go ahead and gave me the idea and said it's okay to give her number out. So you can call 917-971-6175 or 347-865-0931. And just ask for Janet McFarland. And if you live in the New York, the East Coast, she can help you with some low-cost health insurance. So be sure y'all hit her up, okay? And also, I'm supporting my girl. You know Deandra Purdue, right, Eric? Remember Deandra from MTSU? She's a Delta.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I do.
Yes, we know MTSU is like one small family. You know how MTSU is.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm supporting my girl Deandra Purdue. Her she has a Queen Essential Boutique. And if you go to www.queenessential.co, this is the lovely dress that I'm wearing from her design. Support Black businesses and support each other, because we only got one life and there's a lot going on in the world, and we got to uplift and support each other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we're going to get started. So guys, welcome to another episode of Home Cook Convos. I'm your girl Janelle, and it is Monday, November the 8th, and I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming my dear good friend, my old alma mater college from Middle Tennessee State University, Mr. Eric Meriwether. Yeah. Eric, yes. Now, Eric is a financial advisor and a retirement planner, advisor, investment, insurance planner, coach, and speaker. Eric, you do all the things.
I do a little bit.
You do all the things. So when I first met you, you was working at Suntrust.
Yeah.
Because look, I was working at State Farm. State Farm on, like, I think it's medical. What's Old Fort Parkway around there? Yeah. And you was working at Suntrust, and you was like the manager back years ago. Was you the manager?
Yeah. Started young, early.
Yes, you did. Yes. So before we get started, Eric, I would like to first we'll ignore the comments for now, if time permits,
Hmm.
we'll just if anybody have questions for Mr. Eric, y'all go ahead and put it in the question box, and then Eric will get to him later. Okay, we'll
Hmm.
do that. So a couple quick reminders, guys. Remember to smile often, stay hydrated, save often, because Eric, a lot of people don't save.
Hey, I know it.
A
Trying
lot of people do not save.
there.
Exercise daily, and to sum everything up, be sure you keep Jesus Christ at the center of everything, and everything else will be added onto you. Yes. Now, Eric, we're gonna play a fun little game before we get started. You gonna play a little game with me?
Yeah. Let's.
No, it's a fun game. It's
Okay.
called rapid fire. Okay.
Okay.
So what it is, I'm gonna spit out a question to you, and you just spit out the first answer to come to mind. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Now, Eric, what irks you the most? What gets on your nerves? What bothers you the most?
Uh, Believe it or not, having to repeat myself. I don't like repeating myself.
I know people don't like doing that. Once you say one thing once, why people got to repeat themselves? We ain't got time. It's almost like you're a parent, with your kids, of course, with anybody. If I tell you to do something once, you should just do it. Why, and always be a man or a woman of your word.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, Eric, are piggy banks in or out right now? So what that mean is savings in right now, or should people just be applying to higher paying jobs, or should they just be saving? What do you think? Are piggy banks in or out? What do you think?
I say saving is always in. Even if you're earning more, you still should be, saving. So I say it's in. My kids have piggy banks still. So
Absolutely. Look at you. Yes, absolutely. And y'all don't understand. I live on the East Coast. I've been in New York for about 14 years now. Eric is on he's from the West Coast and he's from the South. And we all got that Southern accent because, we can tell Southern accent when we see one, when we hear
uh,
it. Absolutely. Eric, have you ever been to New York before?
I actually have not. It's on the list. It's on the list.
Okay. Yes. Yes. You got to come out here. Yes. You will love it. Yeah. Now, who inspires you the most, Eric?
Who inspires me the most?
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I'll say probably my wife. Just
Absolutely. Oh my
given her
gosh.
things she's been through. A lot of people don't know her story, but what she's overcome and who she is now, you never know. So it's an inspiration to me.
Absolutely, and that's amazing, y'all. And y'all been married for what? Is it going on 12 or 13 years? How long?
Yeah, on it 13 years together. Together going on 15, married 13.
Ain't that a blessing? Look at God. Look at God.
Cool.
Now, one word to describe your personality, Eric.
I say I guess the first thing that comes to mind is energy. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Absolutely. And you know me, I'm a ball. Like, Eric, when you first met me before I started doing all my entertainment, I've always been a personality. I'm just always, what'd you say?
No, I said absolutely. Yeah.
I've always been theatrical. You know how that goes. Now, what's your favorite movie, Eric?
Man, my favorite movie. That's tough. I say the first thing that comes to mind, believe it or not, is Friday.
Oh, everybody like Friday.
Sucker Cube. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Favorite movie, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Now, would you skydive, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. I have not done it yet, but I am. It's on the list. It's on the bucket.
You would be a daredevil, get out there and skydive.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, now I need my feet on the ground, so I can't be doing that.
Just one time, YOLO. You only live once. You only do something like that once. I have no desire to do it twice. Just one time to say I did it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, lastly, one fun fact about yourself that people may not know, Eric. Ooh. Hey, OBO.
Yeah, it was actually mentioned today. Believe it or not, I'm almost 40 and I can still do like flip somersaults, like no hand, backflip with no hands. Like I'm still very athletic. A lot of people wouldn't know that. And I can do it in the suit. I have done the suit.
Oh my goodness, Eric! So you was a gymnastics out here doing gymnastics?
I was a hood gymnast, so I never took any classes. I learned on the playground, first, second grade, back in the yeah, so hood gymnast, flipping off a
yes.
Yeah.
Look at you. Yes. What's up shout out to my friend OBO Jones is in the building. What's up, OBO? Well, Eric, thank you for playing that game with me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. That was fun. That was fun.
Yes. So, y'all, before we get started, Home Cook Convos has some merch selling t-shirts, everything for the girls. The link is pinned in the comments, t-shirts, and that's the link. If you follow the link, you'll be able to purchase a hoodie just in time for winter, everything for the girls. There's a black shirt, there's a purple shirt, and then there's a a green and pink shirt. So be sure y'all support the brand, support Black businesses. So, Eric, we're going to get the show started. You ready, Eric?
Yep, ready. Let's get it.
All right. So, Eric, one thing I wanted to ask you, now you have been involved in the financial industry for over 17 years. Has being involved with numbers and money and planning always been a passion of yours?
I wouldn't say a passion. I would say that it is something that came natural early on. We talked about savings, and saving is something that comes natural to me. I realize it's not the case for everybody, but like, for instance, when I was 11, that's when it started. My stepdad used to give me $20 for cutting the grass, and I would always think, like, well, if I I only spend half of it and I keep 10, next time I cut it next week, I'd have 30 when it gives me 20. So that was always my mentality. Always keep some money. If I always save money, I'll always have money. That was kind of my mentality. And so it just evolved from there. But that was the foundation. But it wasn't always like knowing what I wanted to do. For a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know Yeah.
Okay. Somebody said you be turning backflips in a suit, Eric. See, Eric is always dapper, y'all. Eric, you be doing backflips in a suit. Look at you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, at what age did you know you had a knack for finance and accounting? What age did you know you like numbers like that?
Actually, man, I think, the way I came up, it was just, living in the moments and not really thinking a whole lot about the future. And so by the time I actually realized it was, I'd say I was in my early 20, like 20, like 2021, because I started working I was working at Kroger as a cashier, and I really got into banking for the hours. I knew if I worked at a bank, I would never miss any, late parties or things going on the weekends, concerts. And so I got into banking, and it's like, well, I know money, I can count money, I understand this. So yeah, like I could easily get a gig with the bank, that's dealing with money. And so that's when it first kind of the spark started. Like, I'd probably be pretty good at this. I could do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for explaining that. Now, you were the vice president and branch manager of Suntrust Bank in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Shout out to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, y'all. So if y'all don't understand, I went to MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University. That's me and Eric alma mater. I'm in New York now, and Eric is doing his thing in Murfreesboro. So, Eric, I was just in Tennessee probably 2 months ago. So next time I was out there visiting family because, my family still lives there.
Okay.
So, my friend Vivica, Vivica LaBrue, she's out there. Yes.
Weekly.
Yes, all my friends out there. So I was hanging out with Vivica and all of them. So yeah. So next time I come out there, I gotta hit you up. We gotta go get some martinis.
Yep.
Everybody go hang out and do something.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, what was the most challenging part in being in leadership with this position at Suntrust Bank in Murfreesboro?
I'd say being the youngest for a majority of the time I was in like leadership, and being Black. Murfreesboro, it's like, close to 20% African American population now, but like it was half of that, when we first got here, And so oftentimes I was the only, Black manager. Sometimes even in my branch, I got a staff full of like white folks. And it was it was crazy. And of course that changed over time, and I, tried to be proactive, given, other Black and hiring, but that was the most challenging, and everything that comes along in the South, you know what I'm saying, and the prejudice and the racism that, one experiences. So like, definitely that was the biggest challenge for me.
Absolutely. And how old were you when you started working at Suntrust? You said being the youngest. How old were you?
So when I first started working at Suntrust, I was 18, 19, 20. But when I got my first branch, I was 24.
Oh, okay. 24.
Yeah.
Look at that. Ain't that, look at God. Look how God has been working in your life.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people, and I always tell people, when you put God at the center, Jesus Christ at the center of everything, everything else will be added onto you. A lot of people, I was going to a church, a call Upon This Rock
Yeah.
back in Murfreesboro. Upon This Rock, Pastor Hughes, John Bragg Highway. Yep. And Pastor Hughes always says, don't let what you see dictate your vocabulary. It does not matter about circumstantial evidence. God's words are above your circumstances. Because a lot of people will look at their bank accounts. I don't have enough money for my mortgage. I don't have enough money for rent. But you got to call those things that be not as though they were. Regardless of the circumstance, regardless of how long it has not come to pass, keep speaking it. Keep speaking your money. Keep speaking your health. Keep speaking your wealth. Because I'm telling you, if you don't speak it, it ain't coming, y'all.
That's it. That's it.
Absolutely. Now, what was your least favorite part about this opportunity at Suntrust? Like, I know, like in Murfreesboro, it was predominantly a lot of Caucasians. So, did you feel welcome, before you answer that question, did you feel welcomed at Suntrust, being the only African American male there, or did you feel a little stigma when you was working there?
You know, I will say that, you know, internally, yeah, I felt welcome. And one of the things I've always made a point, even if somebody, you know, has an issue or doesn't like me, just naturally, like I'm the type, like, I'm going to make you like me. Like, you don't know me. And so even if it is judgment or whatever, by the time you know me, you know, we gonna vibe and we gonna be, you know, we gonna be cool, we gonna be good. But yeah, I was definitely welcomed. I had a lot of support, you know what I'm saying, a lot of mentorship in that, you know, during those early years with Suntrust, and really throughout. Yeah,
that's amazing to have that is, because, you know, it's hard being in leadership as an African American male, because in the South, a lot of the leadership roles were Caucasian white men.
Oh, absolutely, hands down, 90%
of the time. And look at you just running your own thing going on. We gonna get into it because we got so much to cover. So Eric, I ain't gonna take much of your time. So we're gonna get. Okay, so we'll make sure, because I know it's a Monday. You gotta get the kids to sleep. Well, they probably. How old are your kids though?
11 and 8.
So look at them. They probably saying they already know what to do. They already know when it's time to go to bed. Look, you ain't got to give them no direction. They already know when daddy's doing something. Don't bother daddy when daddy's working. Don't bother daddy when daddy's working.
You know, and the wife, you know, she owns her own business as well. And so the girls, like, we got a system every day. They know, like clockwork, we do a lot. I especially do a lot out in the community. And so they understand, you know. Well,
I'm proud of you. Well, you keep on doing it and keep being the positive light that you are in Tennessee. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for the financial, especially for African American people financially, because a lot of African American people just don't understand the foundations of financial, you know, literacy. They don't understand that, but we're going to get more into that. Now, you're currently a financial advisor with Northwest Mutual, working more closely with your clients. What is the difference you see in this role versus your role when you was working at Suntrust?
Hands down, I have there's a direct correlation to having a much greater impact in helping people to create generational wealth. Like,
yes.
And it's, you know, people start to tell me, and I can see it now because I've been doing this, you know, full time now, 7 years. It's kind of like, you know, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. But as I look back, you know, I'm starting to kind of see what is actually happening and what I'm, you know, accomplishing and the impact that I'm really having on the culture. Like you were saying, especially, you know, largely and predominantly with African Americans. You know, there are not many of them. And so most people that I even connect with, meet with, they verbalize, tell me if it wasn't me or somebody even looked like them, they probably wouldn't do it, you know? And so it means a lot.
Absolutely. Now you work, thank you for summing that up. Now you work closely with businesses and owners and corporate businesses and executives and medical professionals to help them achieve a financial independence and integrity and wealth. What is the biggest mistake you have seen in corporations and businesses making while being involved in Northwest Mutual?
You know, I think the biggest thing is, like you mentioned, I mean, if you think about there are a lot of people, especially like that, all of us that went to school, got an education, degrees, got good jobs, making good money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like instant gratification, I feel like, is really killing just this culture. Like spending every dime that we have is not really sustainable. You're spending out all these dollars, and if you're making 150 a year, and you're spending, 155, 160, and keeping nothing for yourself, we're basically pouring into all of these other businesses and companies and essentially making them rich and not thing for ourselves or our families. And it's becoming to a detriment, to us. So that's the big that I see. The more money that we make, the more we spend. That's not just black folk. That's a lot of people in general, Americans, right? It's like you increase your income by 10 bands a year, and you're increasing your lifestyle by 10,000 a year.
Which you should be, okay, what basically it should be, you're increasing your income, but you still should be shopping at thrift stores. Basically.
So I think, and again, this can get very, very deep, because I'm a firm believer that you should have, and buy nice things, especially if you work hard and make good money, but you should not do that to a detriment of your future self or your family, right? And so, yeah, if you're making, $10,000 a year, yeah, it's okay to buy $300, $500 belt or $1,000 pair of shoes here or there, but make sure that you're also saving as well and investing to create financial independence.
Absolutely. Have somebody in the comments that preach. And that is so important. Like inflation goes up every year, Eric, and a lot of people, and you understand that a lot of people are still, with this pandemic, are still getting out of the pandemic. They're still on unemployment. And then a lot of jobs, when you do get offered a job, it doesn't pay you enough. Right. So you have jobs that are still underpaying people when inflation goes up every year. So what's your take on why do you think that's still going on with inflation going up every year, but jobs still paying people $16 and $17 an hour? Why are they still doing that?
Well, I think, for one, I've seen in corporate that greed is plentiful, right? There's a lot of greed that's going around, and it's all about increasing profit margins, and oftentimes is at the expense of the employees. And so they're increasing profitability, driving revenue, and trying to cut where they can. And again, that's why you mentioned inflation. Inflation is at 4% currently. So that means if you're not at least increasing income by 4%, but more so if you're not investing and getting at least that 4%, then you're losing, right? We're losing money.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why we're seeing this move and push in entrepreneurship, because companies aren't paying and people have got to find another way to maintain, to bring in additional income.
Absolutely. And thank you for breaking that down. Like that's so, like y'all, let me tell y'all something. Before we get off this show, y'all be sure y'all follow Mr. Eric Meriwether, because he can give you so much advice. And I'm sure, Eric, if someone DMs you about financial help and I'm sure you don't mind answering a question or two.
Nah, not at all.
Now, can you explain more on your involvement with serving on the board of directors for Empowerment, a nonprofit? I think it's called Empowerment. Yes, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting high school students for college and life. Tell us a little bit about this opportunity.
Yeah, so that is a nonprofit, that I've been serving on the board for going on 3 years now. My girl Janelle Douglas, who's from Memphis as well.
Oh, I know Janelle Douglas. Yes, I know her.
Yeah, that's Janelle's organization. And so she started back in Memphis, brought it here, and it's targeted to the southeast quadrant of Antioch, the schools there in the Antioch area. And we go in basically teaching kids life skills, college prep. There's a program for young women, young men, and really just making sure that they have the mentorship, skills, knowledge, and empowering them to dream big and go and get it. Provide scholarships annually, to some of the students, but it's really just looking to fill in the gaps, because it's only so much that schools can do and teachers can do. And so any extra that we can give our young folks to go on and be successful and have a productive life, being productive citizens, we want to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, your rewards include being the honoree for Best in Finance and I think at the 2018 Power Moves Award, and appointed to the Rutherford County Disciplinary Review Board. Congratulations, by the way, on that. Can you explain how these awards came about and how you did all that came to you?
Yeah, I think that's what I say, like the People's Award, right? Because you watch a good movie. Like you asked me what my favorite movie was, right? And whatever our given favorite movies were, especially the first time we saw it, what do we go and do? We go and tell other people. And so my goal has always been to, for one, take care of people, do right by people. And if you do a great job, you create a phenomenal experience. And people see the results, right, from things that you've done and put in place, they're going to go and share it with other people. And the goal has been to create like raving fans, but it's with the purpose, of course, of helping these families get on a different trajectory to create generational wealth. And so thankfully, over the years, I've just established a pretty solid reputation. And that's led to a lot of other, positive and great things.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on all your awards, and I hope you have many more to come. Many more to come. I also want to mention to people the importance of having renters insurance and homeowners insurance. So now a lot of people can't afford to get a home, and that's okay. And if you can't afford to get a home, renters insurance is very important. And what people fail to understand, I used to work at State Farm, and I still have State Farm renters insurance in New York. So I have my own apartment here in New York. I have a balcony, 1 bedroom, nice, spacious, but I have renters insurance because people don't understand. I learned about renters insurance when I was living in Murfreesboro. It's the cheapest insurance. It's literally like $13 to $14 a month, or you could pay it up for a year, which is like $130 to $140, and that covers you annually. It's so important, guys, because you don't know, you could be the most cautious person in the world, but your neighbor may leave the oven on. Your neighbor next door to you may smoke cigarettes. They may fall asleep and cigarette burn the house down or burn the apartment down. You got to have renter's insurance to cover your things, and you got to have proof of the things in your apartment. So I tell people all the time, like in New York City, especially in New York, a lot of people think like, oh, my apartment, the building will have insurance on it. The building may have insurance on it, but your things inside would not be covered if you yourself do not have renter's insurance. Right. And most homes now, if you buy them, Eric, they automatically come with homeowners insurance?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a homeowner's insurance. Pretty much when you get a house, you have to get homeowner's insurance. Renters is optional, but with homeowner's insurance, you have that in place.
Yes. So can you explain to people, because I just briefly explained it, why it's so important to get renters and have homeowners insurance? Why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, for one, and I'm big on all types of insurance. All it takes is to lose something one time. Even if for those that have had a baby, if you look at that hospital bill when you have a baby, like I think our first kid, it was like 20 racks if we didn't have insurance, right? And so if something happens where you got a house and there's damage of, like being a homeowner, like damage of $20,000, well, you can pay a $500, $1,000 deductible, and it takes care of the rest. And for those, that are renting, it's good to get renter's insurance because it gives you a discount even when you get to the point of getting homeowner's insurance. And so it's really just protecting against the unforeseen.
Absolutely. And people need to have it. Like I said, it's the cheapest insurance. I said, if you want to pay renters monthly, it's like $13 to $14 a month. It depends on what policy you take out. But it's very important in case something happens to your apartment. It's basically covering your, like I know State Farm, if something was to happen to my apartment, Lord forbid, they will put me inside a nice hotel until my place gets refurnished or rebuilt. They'll take care of your lodging, and renter's insurance takes care of all that, because people don't understand, if you lose everything from your clothes to everything on the back, that's almost about $30 to $40 to $50,000 to cover, buy everything, like clothes, shoes, everything, furniture. That's almost like $50K to $60K. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to purchase everything. So now, Eric, I've been really thank you for explaining that to people too.
Yeah.
So now, Eric, I've been waiting to speak to you more importantly about this, the
Okay.
importance of having life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Before we even get into it, especially among life insurance, especially among our brown and black communities.
Yeah.
Now, Eric, I like my mother's not working right now. I basically take care of my mom. So my mom, I pay for my mother's life insurance. I've already been having life insurance out on myself for years, but I took care of my mother. My mom had her own life insurance plan, but she got to a point where she couldn't afford to pay for it. So I said, Mom, you can't allow this policy to lapse. I'm going to take over the payments because it's so important. And my sister, I just recently, she works in a factory at Tyson Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And she been working there for 6 years. And I don't think Tyson offers life insurance, but she never had life insurance. So I signed her up for life insurance probably a month ago.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, my sister's 37. So she's like, oh, you don't have to worry about doing that. I'm young, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you don't understand that young people die every day. People don't understand life expectancies happen all the time. And we have to understand that tomorrow's not promised to nobody.
Right.
So if you have life insurance, that's literally a financial burden. Well, it's a financial relief for your loved ones if you was to pass away.
Yeah.
So before we get into what I want to hear your take on it, now, Eric, you have made a video recently. Well, it was like a while back in your story, and I don't know if you guys remember. Y'all remember the late talented actor, rest in peace, Mr. Anthony Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Anthony Johnson, he played in Players Club, House Party 3, in a slew of '90s movies back in the day, and he did not have life insurance. So his wife made a GoFundMe basically asking the fans to help cover her husband's funeral. And I saw that you had made a video saying that how he did not have life insurance. And I was on the Shade Room and I was reading the comments. People were very showing their condolences. But a lot of people, one lady said in the comments, she said, why can't Black people start normalizing the importance of life insurance? Black people need to start normalizing the importance of life insurance. This is ridiculous that she has to come on here and do a GoFundMe asking people to help fund her husband's funeral. So my question I want to ask you, and I'm going to let you just have the floor because I really want you to touch on this topic. Why do you think Black and brown people skip over life insurance and they think, oh, it's something that I just wait to do? Why do you think people do that?
So I will try to keep this brief, but
no, I want you to go right into it because this is one of our heavy topics. I really want it's very important.
Let's get into it. And so it actually goes back to slavery, right? All the way back to slavery. So there's been a strained relationship with a lot of older generation. I won't say any companies' names, but there are, a couple of companies that slave masters would write slave policies on their slaves so that when they died, they would get the payout. And I think, around that time, it was, a couple of thousand, few thousand, but that was substantial, years and years ago. Well, you fast forward where the life insurance salesman, quote unquote, will come door to door knocking, selling the insurance, collecting premiums. Well, what happened and this is what a lot of older Black people kind of knew, grandparents, great-grandparents, where you would come, the life insurance salesman will come, you pay your premiums, and then when something happened and the person passed, the policies wouldn't pay out because the life insurance salesmen were keeping or stealing money, right, portions of the premium. And so that caused a huge rift in the culture, because there were a lot of things that were done to, us as Black folks that was jacked up. That was just one of them. And so there was a distrust with life insurance companies, of life insurance companies not paying out. And that's something I actually still hear from older, there's a concern with policies not paying out, right? So that's a big reason for the distrust. But then also there's this thing in the community where, folks will only want enough to put put me in the ground. I've had to work, I've had to grind, and this is one thought line. I had to work, hustle for mine, and so because I had to struggle, like I'm not just gonna give you financial freedom, right? You're gonna have to work, get after it just like I did. And so those are the mindsets that I see that we tend to deal with. Whereas, and then too, like nothing's gonna happen to me, right? I'm young, like you were saying, sister. People tend to think that as well, and then feeling like just invincible. But those are the reasons I see primarily with people not getting life insurance. And the last thing I'll say to that is there tends to be like this line of thought where people feel like if I get into this process, right, like almost superstitious, I'm going to die. Like I'm not going to even think about it. I'm not going to get life insurance in place because if I get it, then something's going to happen to me, which is crazy as well.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
There are a lot of things that we're battling, mentally as it relates to that and psychologically.
Absolutely. So, and what people fail to understand too is what people don't know is some life insurance can be used to help you fund and save money for your retirement. And you can literally pull from the policy if you ever come into a financial storm. Like with State Farm, I have 2 life insurance policies. I have one that it pays into the policy, and then after like 20, 30 years, if Lord forbid, thank God, I hope if I'm still here and all that stuff, State Farm will write me a check for that money that I paid into that policy. And you have policies that, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you're the financial planner, Eric. And there's policies in life insurance where you can borrow if you want. Sometimes you may go through a financial storm and you may want to borrow from your policy. So let me know, is that correct? What people can life insurance? What is it, term or how's that work?
So we go real deep with this, but I'll keep it kind of higher level, and we can get into questions or anything. So 2 types. The first thing is, number one, if something happens to you, family doesn't tend to care what type you have. All that really matters is, are we going to be okay, right? Am I going to have enough to make sure that things are taken care of? And we've got to start about generational wealth. Life is one of the foremost ways to create intergenerational wealth, and that's multiple generations. If you get a $2 million life insurance policy and you pass, your family gets $2 million tax free. I get so oftentimes people come and they'll ask, well, I've gotten this, payout. What are the taxes going to look like on this? And it's like, it's no taxes, no matter what the amount is. There's $0 in tax, tax free. And then you have, so that's just the amount. And then you've got term, which tends to be temporary, right? Term policies, people don't know this, but only 1% to 3% of term policies actually pay out because people tend to outlive those. You do have situations where they're freak accidents, but most people that they do live to the age of, 60s or
70,
right?
Yeah.
There's so many people that used to have life insurance, but they don't have it anymore. That's because they had term. What you referred to is
whole life.
It's a return of premium. So you said if you have a policy, by the time you get to retirement, they refund you the money back.
Yes.
That's a return of premium policy, which is a type of term, so to speak. There's also, you got whole life, universal, and not to get too deep, but these are policies essentially that if you start early enough when you're younger, you can pay in. And if you've paid in $100,000 over the 40 years, you have $200,000 in cash and like $400,000 or $500,000 in death benefit, and the money continues to grow. So if you hear people saving for retirement or saving inside of a life insurance policy, it's money that's generally not tied to the market inside of that whole life policy. And by the time you get to like our parents' age, grandparents, you're done paying for life insurance, and you've got anywhere from, depending on how it's structured, $100,000 to $500,000, $1 million in cash that's growing at usually 4% to 6%. And you can literally pull money from that and live on it as income. And then you have a permanent death benefit. So if you live to be 80, 90, 100, 110, it's going to pay out to your family, to your beneficiaries.
Oh my God, Eric, you were so well spoken how you articulated that. That is so important how you just broke it down, because people need to understand like the importance of life insurance. It really like we just talked about the actor that did not have life insurance and how his wife had to. What do you thought? What was going through your head when you saw that she put a GoFundMe? Were you ashamed that she did not have life insurance on her husband?
No, I mean, I'm having these conversations like every day. I'm talking about it to folks I'm blue in the face. And so what I've seen that, and even working with, some people in the industry and professional. So if you don't get someone before they get fame, popularity, or money, especially Black folk, it's very hard because we already have this emotional attachment and issues with money. And so it's like this person is just trying to basically say, well, they know I got money, and they feel that people don't have their best interest at heart. And so when it's a situation where you get up to that level, you don't trust anybody. And so although they should have had some, and then also, who knows, I've heard things like people not wanting to get coverage because then if their spouse or someone knows they have it, they're going to try to kill them. Those like Snap, you know what I'm saying? And those,
like Snap, and that really happens. That's why they always say, Eric, when someone passes away, they have to have proof of death, like your death certificate.
Yeah.
That proof, because a lot of people will make false claims and say this person died just to get the money, or they'll try to kill, and that's real life. Like Snap is real stories where a husband was literally poisoning his wife every day with like rat poisoning inside her like water or milk or something, and he was really doing that because he saw that she had a $250,000 life insurance policy.
Yeah, but those are it happens, but those are rare occasions. More often than not is when people do have life insurance in place, they're leaving a legacy financially, generationally. And one thing I'll add to that is if you think back to your great grandmother or grandfather, right? Do you remember the name of that person? And then if you think back to your great, do you remember the name of that person? Oftentimes we don't, especially as Black folk, you go back 2-3 generations and it's lost in translation. The only time that people remember or know the names of their great grandparents is if they left some type of wealth, being land or money, right?
Yes.
Got to get to thinking about, we're doing it for my last name's sake, you know what I'm saying? And creating a legacy to where you're remembered and your legacy lives on far after you're gone.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, Eric, I always save my shows to my IGTV. So for people who are just joining, this is my friend, Mr. Eric Meriwether. You guys can go back and rewatch this live because I'm going to save it. I'm going to tag Eric in it. And Eric, tomorrow, probably this Wednesday, I'll break down some key things because you said some key nuggets in here, and then I'll tag you in and put in my stories, and you can share it to your story because you said so many gems that people need to really hear today.
Yeah.
So now, Eric, what can people do? Final thoughts. What can people do right now if they're unsure about purchasing life insurance?
So for one, at the absolute minimum, everybody needs to have something, right? And this is key. And I had this conversation today. Believe it or not, there are people that are being declined for life insurance. You have to medically qualify for life insurance. I talk to people in their 30s, their 40s that are being declined for life insurance. And so it's based on age and health. And so you want to make sure that you get it when you're young and healthy. You can get term policies for dirt cheap. If you're in your 30s and in pretty good health, you can get a term policy for like $35-40 for $1 million in life insurance. And it's like you spend that easily on a couple of drinks at the club, or a pair of shoes. And so number one is you need to at least have some, right? While you're young and healthy and can't afford to get it. Secondly, I would say you need to reach out to a trusted advisor, insurance agent. And when you talk to that person, make sure that they educate you and not just try to sell you. You should understand to some extent what it is that you have. And of course, folks can reach out to me. If you have someone that you know that's in the industry, definitely reach out to them because it's all it's all about education. We have to be educated. And when you educate people on what it is, how it works, how it is applicable to them, then the fear tends to go away. But the problem is we got too many people out there just trying to sell it. but we need more educated.
Absolutely. So can you explain the differences, since we're on the topic of education, can you explain the difference between term and whole life?
Yeah. So think of term like renting, right?
Okay.
So when you rent, you typically can live there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You don't have any equity in the apartment, right? Or the house that you're renting. If you live there, you're living there, of course, while you're paying the rent, you got the benefit of living there. But if you move in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you don't get a check, right? And also the rent tends to go up. You're not paying the same thing in rent usually 10 years, 5 years from now that you were paying, right, when you first moved in the spot. So the rent tends to go up, right? So think of term insurance like renting your insurance. It should really be like a temporary thing, right? It covers a temporary need. And maybe in some cases, the maintenance and the extra cost that goes along with buying a home, right? You don't have a lot of that because you got a landlord that could take things, take care of those things. So it's usually less out of pocket in maintenance, right? And then if you look at whole life or permanent, number one is permanently in place. No matter what, it's yours. You own it. And if you're making that payment, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you have equity in that policy. And so you mentioned borrowing against it. So you can pay into a policy. And if you've been paying 5, 10 years, depending on what you're contributing, you could have anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 in cash in your policy that you can pull from or borrow against, right? And then you get to a point, like I mentioned, where whether it's in retirement or closer to retirement, you got a pool of cash that's growing usually anywhere from 4 to 7%, right? Regardless of what the market is doing, you have an appreciating asset that you own. And then just like having a mortgage or a house, you get it paid off, paid up, and now you own the insurance and it continues to appreciate and go up in value. And it's going to pay out no matter what, unless you completely cash out. But in that situation, you got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how much you put into it. And so one is temporary, and it doesn't have any other benefits usually than if you pass or something bad happens, your family gets it. But with quote unquote whole life, you've got the benefit of cash value, an appreciating asset that's growing, and you have a guaranteed permanent death benefit that's going to leave a legacy financially to your family, tax-free, and even money that you take out of it is tax-free as well at whatever point you do pass. So those are the differences of term and whole. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. You explained it so eloquently. And that's why I tell people, I was watching Shirley Ralph. Ralph, now we all know Shirley Ralph from Moesha. We know her from Sister Act 2. She was on her live talking about how it's important to own a home. Black people, if you own a home, you build up equity in that home. Yeah. So, Eric, what do you say to people if they can't afford a home? What if people say, I can't afford to get a house, all I can do is rent?
I would have deeper conversation. I'm all about, listening to people to truly understand before I respond and make a preconceived notion. So when people say I can't afford a home, I know people, even myself, like I know a lot of people whose rent is more than my mortgage. And I meet a lot of people whose, rent, even here in Nashville, like $2,000 or $1,500, like you can get I think it's just, that can be a lack of understanding as well, just education, right? Knowing what all your options are. And I'm real big on enough information to make an informed decision. And so I think a lot of times people don't have enough information to make an informed decision.
Oh, you ain't said nothing but a word. So, oh my gosh, Eric, we could literally talk forever. So let me ask you really quick, what's next for Mr. Meriwether? What do you have next? You have a book you coming out with? Are you thinking about writing a book, you and your wife? Do you think about anything like that?
That'll come at some point. But as of, right now, I've got a lot, even from what you mentioned in the beginning, there are a lot of other things going on. I'm part of leadership development program here in the city, started a nonprofit earlier this year that's kind of taken up. And all this is about not just financial empowerment, but empowering us as a culture and Black folks and integrating into positions of leadership and positions of influence and decision-making positions, which we hadn't typically had a seat at a lot of tables. And so I'm doing my part where I can, how I can, to ensure as many of us have a seat at the table. But secondly, me and the missus, right, we have a lot of things that we know that we will do, but what is most important to us is keeping our family together, keeping that foundation, making sure that that's strong, and our two girls, because we only get a short amount of time that they are small. And so I've realized just through talking with mentors and other folks on things they've done well, regrets they've had, and there's so many men of influence and power that have regrets around not being there and present for their, spouses or for their children, and that will not be the case with us. And so these next 10 years for us are going to be really critical to make sure that we're pouring into our girls to create them to be leaders. But at that point, once they, get grown and where they need to be, then a lot of the additional things that we'll do, because when you go to write books, it requires a lot of course, and a lot of, speaking engagements. And so our girls are also in competition dance. And so really what's next for me is just continuing to financially empower folks through what I do in financial planning, just creating the structures through the organizations and nonprofits I'm a part of, and really pouring into my family, which is the greatest investment I feel like I can make right now. And then, holler at me in 5 to 10 years, and we gonna turn it up a notch.
Absolutely. Well, I want to tell you, you do an amazing job. I appreciate you coming on here, educating the people, and just lending your time and your voice on this Monday night, taking time out of your day, because you're like I said, you're a working man, you're a husband, and you're a father. And I really appreciate you just taking time out on November the 8th, this Monday night, to come speak with me. So y'all, if y'all have a couple of questions, I've seen a few questions. Eric, you want to answer a few questions? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up in the question box. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I think somebody, if you're single with no one leaving. Okay. My friend, Miss Rosie, can you read the question she wrote?
Where is it? Let's see. So
if not, I'll read it to you.
Yeah, you might need to read that to me for time's sake.
Okay. It says, if you are single with no one to leave anything to, what's a good type of policy to get?
And so I guess that if we think about, if something were to happen to you, who would be responsible? That's the first, because it has to be somebody within the vicinity of your reach that you're even semi-close to. And I'm assuming a person wouldn't just pass and then it'd be nobody there, you know what I'm saying, to help take care of things, even if it's final expenses. And so in a situation like that, if it's truly no one that someone has, they really love, care about, or want to leave that love gift, so to speak, then just consider not being a burden, so to speak, on that person that would be handling the final expenses. And it could be a minimal policy, 25, 50,000, something around that, that would be feasible, affordable, but could also be a permanent or a whole life policy where you're not just paying for insurance, it's also building, cash and accumulating value and growing for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for answering that question. And that was from my girl, Miss Rosie. And let me see. Somebody else asked you. My friend Terrell, he just wanted to ask you a question. What's your favorite restaurant? He wanted to ask you.
Man, I'm actually going to say Urban Grub as of right now, out in Nashville. Urban Grub, dope vibe, atmosphere, and phenomenal food and beverages. It's one of me and the missus' favorite spots. Yeah.
And my friend Terrell, I think we explained it, but this is the last one. He said, what is tenant? I don't know if there's such a thing. He said, what is tenant insurance? Tenant insurance.
And so I'll say that's renters, because when you
same thing. Yeah, tenant is the same thing as renters, Terrell. So we explained all of that. So yes, well, Eric, you have been a delight. Oh, somebody in the comments said something. Let me see if I can go back and say, Do you have insurance on the kids? Oh, somebody said, is it good to get insurance on your kids when they're young?
Absolutely. I ensure that my clients are knowledgeable enough to come to me. I have clients coming to me when they have children. I work right across the street from the hospital, and one of the biggest compliments I got to knowing the client was hearing me is they had their baby, and upon leaving, they came right. This was the first stop they made to ensure that they had insurance on their kids. And I'll just say, even like personally, when and I don't have enough time for the story, but we can, again, we want to have a follow up, but there was a situation when I worked at the bank where a client, young girl, graduated college. She got a Mustang, brand new Mustang. Her dad had bought it from money that he took out of her life insurance policy. And so when I got on this side of full-time planning, that is something that I immediately implemented for my girls. And even for our girls, they don't fully know it unless they're watching. I see my wife on her. Shout out to Temp, beautiful wife.
Hi, Hey, Tempest.
Yeah, but we've got thousands of dollars in our kids' life insurance policies already. And of course, if something happens to them, but we don't want anything to happen, God forbid. But if it does, we've got coverage in place. But more importantly, they're building up a lot of cash, even in the life insurance policies that will be theirs one day. And so it's a win.
So it's very important, guys, to get insurance on. Like I said, you could take insurance on out on a baby, a child. It doesn't matter how old they are.
2 weeks.
Well,
2 weeks.
What'd you say?
2 weeks after they're born, you can get life insurance.
Oh, wow. 2 weeks after they're born, you can get life insurance. Ain't that amazing? Well, Eric, you have been a delight. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come speak with me. You have really gave us so many gems and good knowledge on this show. And I know I have to definitely have you back on the show at some point again. And I just really appreciate you, and shout out to your wife, your beautiful wife in here. And I really appreciate it. So where can people follow you? What are all your social media handles where people would know?
So _Eric _Meriwether, everything's Eric Meriwether. I'm real creative. So Facebook is Eric Meriwether. You've got, of course, it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you're professional, hit LinkedIn. Make sure you tap in there. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, y'all, this has been another episode of Home Cook Convos. I'm your girl, Janelle. And like I said, the link to purchase my shirts are in the chat. And be sure you following Eric. And Eric, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come speak with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Enjoy.
All right. Well, you have a good one. Bye-bye.